Now to an update on a story we've been following out of Ontario. The province's Inspector General of Policing has announced a province-wide inspection into police corruption.
Rebuilding public trust also requires more than words. It requires action. And that is why today I am announcing an independent, province-wide inspection into the ability of Ontario's police services and boards to prevent, detect, respond to, and fortify their organizations against corruption and ensure integrity.
Last week, 7 current and 1 former Toronto police officers were charged in a sweeping investigation into police corruption. The inspection will cover all 45 police forces in the province. Ontario's Inspector General of Policing, Ryan Teschner, says that the inspection will focus on 5 areas: supervision and span of control, screening and vetting of officers, access to police databases and information systems, along with evidence and property management with substance abuse and fitness for duty. Joining me now is Chris Lewis, CTV News public safety analyst and former OPP commissioner. Chris, thanks for being here. You have clearly a lot of experience, especially in the province of Ontario, in regards to policing, at least in this province. What do you make, too, of this inspection? It doesn't sound like they're going to get right into the nitty-gritty of inspection and really investigating every police force, but it does sound fairly wide of a scope.
Yeah, for sure. It's a very wide scope. I mean, it's covering, I think, all the important details in terms of the 5 pillars that he identified. It's clear. It needs to be clear to people, though, that this is not a criminal investigation. I mean, that has occurred. It is still occurring. We're seeing more officers suspended in Peel and Toronto over the last few days. So things are still happening out there. But this is really an inspection of those various areas identified in terms of what our police services doing to supervise, access to computers and sensitive information, and more. But it's a huge task. I mean, the OPP has 165 reporting locations alone. So and it's not necessarily the same everywhere, given supervision is different from detachment to detachment at certain times of the day. So anyway, all that to say, this is going to be a huge task. They need to pick the right person to oversee it.
Right, and we don't know that yet, who is going to oversee it and the exact details of how this is going to work. But I'm curious, Chris, for you, in your experience and everything that you have done so far, Ryan Teschner is saying that the possibility of corruption spreading to other police forces is there. Again, this isn't a criminal investigation, as you mentioned, but do you believe, that this is necessary given what we just found out and what's happened in Toronto?
Well, I think there's some public perception issues that need to be addressed. The public needs to be sure that police services are doing their best to close any gaps that do exist. But out of thousands and thousands of police officers in the province of Ontario and over 70,000 in Canada, there is sadly going to be corruption. Despite the best of supervision, the best of hiring practices and the best of record keeping, evidence keeping, etc., some officers are going to go bad. We want that to be a bare minimum. 0 would be best. So we can't assume that what's happening here is going to stop it all. It's just making sure that the processes are in place to best monitor and best become aware of things that are occurring on duty. At the same time, we don't know what all those officers that have been suspended and charged may have been up to on an off-duty basis, which supervisors and processes in the departments cannot prevent. But they still need to do their best to look at all the gaps that may exist and try and close them.
Yeah, we should be clear again. These officers are facing charges. They have not been convicted. None of the charges have been proven in court. We just want to make that clear for viewers, too. And I think, Chris, too, when you have, at least at this point, and that issue of public trust, I think, in particular, how deep does this go and how long do you think this is going to take because of how expansive the police forces are in Ontario?
Well, the investigation being conducted by York and, of course, with Toronto, the OPP and others helping, will go as long as they have evidence to follow. If they get to the point where there's just no other lead to follow, no other allegation to follow up, then that'll end, and all of that will be before the courts. I really don't think corruption, per se, is rife in police departments across Ontario. Have we had people steal, have unlawfully give information out that the they get in databases, and things like that. For sure, it's awful. It should never occur. But kind of coordinated corruption with organized crime and groups of officers, I don't really see it happening much bigger, if at all, than what we've seen already in the recent investigation. But I didn't expect this to happen either. So I think that chiefs have a fairly good handle on this, but are there things that need to be done better? Maybe, and that's what the Inspector General is all about.
Chris Lewis, CTV News public safety analyst, former OPP commissioner. Appreciate your time as always, Chris. Thank you.
Anytime, Matt. Thank you.